Hey, Vision Source. So we got a question from a member regarding living trusts. And the question was, what are the tax benefits, if any? What are the implications on the practice? Who can do them? When should you do them? All the general questions that usually come. So I thought it'd be easier to do a video because there's a lot of really important information regarding trust that I wanted to kind of mention. So first of all, so a living trust is a separate legal kind of entity, organization, or whatnot that you're setting up to manage and hold your assets in case of death or disability. Okay, so what happens when you're set up a living trust is that you are stepping out as the owner of your assets. And by the way, when we talk about assets, we're talking about anything that goes up in value truly. So your home, commercial real estate, personal real estate, second homes, the practice, of course, any fine jewelry, Persian carpets, antique cars, things of that nature. We wouldn't really talk about boats or regular cars. Those are not the kind of assets we're talking about. But what we do is we take those assets and we take them out of your personal name and we put them into the trust's name. Now, to encourage the making of trusts, the federal government has basically said you still get to enjoy all the same tax benefits that you get when you own stuff in your own name. So the obvious one is the home exemption, right? So if you're married, you get to exempt $500,000 of value increase from your basis on your home if you sell it. That remains with you even if you have a living trust. Okay, so from that perspective, there's really no downside, zero downside to doing a living trust. Now, when should you do a living trust? Usually we recommend when you start accumulating some assets. So if you're done having children and you are set in that regard, that's a good time. If you own a practice, you own your home, you own some commercial properties, one or all of those things, then it's a good time to get a living trust. It's when you have assets to protect, that's the best time to do it. Now, who can do it for you? Well, a lawyer can do it for you. It's really the only place you should get one. Most of you are very sophisticated business people. You own your own practices and things of that nature. You don't want to go to some online system to set something like this up because you need a little bit more sophistication. If you were, a single person just out of school and you wanted to have a living trust, then maybe one of these online providers would do the job, maybe. But for most of you as sophisticated business owners, you absolutely need a much more robust product. I recommend you go to a lawyer close to where you live that is an estate planning attorney, and get referrals, recommendations from colleagues. If you don't know anybody, let me know. We're in a national network of estate planning attorneys, and I'd be happy to give you some names. Our firm, Dental Medical Council, does estate planning, but we only do it here in California. Unlike our practice transitions and employment law and everything else that we do nationally, for estate planning, we only do it in California because it's such a local, kind of thing to do. There are a lot of local laws that need to be kind of followed, and so because of that and amongst other reasons, we only do it locally. Now, what are the benefits of an estate plan? So there are really three that exist, but we only really talk about two of them. Okay, so the first one is that you avoid something called probate. Okay, probate is like a big lawsuit that happens upon your death, where the court system kind of figures out who owns your assets and who should get your assets. Should it be your beneficiary? Should it be the bank? Who gets them? So you avoid all of that with a living trust, which is a huge, huge thing. The second aspect of this is that you avoid certain fees that come with going through probate. Usually, it's about 10% of the value of the estate goes away in terms of fees. So those are lawyer fees, court costs, expert fees, all this other stuff. So again, avoiding probate is the top reason to do an estate plan. The second reason is that if you have children, whether they're minors or adults, if they have special needs or otherwise, the living trust and the ancillary documents that come with it allow you as the parent to assign a guardian for your children. So if your children are at an age where maybe they're not as mature as you want them to be, for all of you that have boys, this probably rings more true than the girls, but you get to decide, you get to tell a trustee when to disperse your assets to them and at what ages. So that allows them to be a little bit maybe more responsible when they get it. The third reason, and this is the one that we really don't talk about much, is that there are severe and significant tax benefits to having a living trust. Now, you might say, Ali, you have your master's in tax. Whenever we talk to you, you always talk about tax benefits. Why are you not talking about it with estate plans? Well, the reason we don't talk about tax benefits when it comes to estate plans in this regard is because unless you know exactly the year you're going to die, it's impossible to plan around it. It's impossible to plan around it because estate laws change all the time. Not too long ago, the estate tax or estate tax minimum was $1 million. Now it's like $11 million, and it goes up and down depending on the administration and all this other stuff politically. So unless you know exactly when you're going to die, you cannot plan, in terms of tax benefits when it comes to the estate plan. But the reason we are big proponents of living trusts is because no matter when you die, God forbid, you will get the best tax treatment as a result of having an estate plan. So whether it's $1 million or 11 million or 2 or 100 million, it's still the best product out there for you to do, right? Super inexpensive, super straightforward, and something every sort of business owner should have for their family. All right. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to answer anything for you. And if you want referrals, I'm happy to do that as well. If you have any more questions, let me know. Thanks, Vision Source.